All right, so let's go ahead and get started. My name is Dean. I am a one of the support agents at QuizCom. So if you do have any issues with any of our products, it is very likely that myself or one of my colleagues will be answering your questions. Now, today we're going to be doing a demo of the Cascading LookApp. Which is available for Office 365. It's basically a port of our cascading lookup field, which is also available for on-premise installations of SharePoint, which you can add to SharePoint 2010, 2013, and 2016. So we're going to take a look at some of the features that we've added to our lookup, which differentiates it from the out-of-the-box lookup that you have available to you on a SharePoint like a vanilla SharePoint list. So let's take a let's go ahead and start. What I have here is I've actually got a couple lists set up. I have a catalog list here, and what this is it's going to be a list of books with an assigned publisher, an author, and an editor, which is going to be a SharePoint user. Okay, so we're going to jump over to my corrections list here, and that's where I've pre-set up some of our cascading lookup fields. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new item just to show you that some of the filters, just to show you some of the filters that I've already set up. Now, while this is loading, a couple housekeeping items as well. If you do have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A section in the WebEx console, or just type them into the chat. I'll do my best to answer them as they come up, or if anything, I'll just answer them at the very end of the webinar today. Okay. So let's go ahead and begin. Now you're going to notice right off the bat that this form actually has a couple tabs set up as well. This is not part of the cascading lookup, but this is actually implemented using another one of our products called QuizCom Forms, which might be of interest to some of you guys to take a look into. It allows you to create a couple of fairly basic info path adjacent capabilities, and you can do all of that within just your form settings without having to open up any other tools. So I've used the tabs here just to separate some of the examples that I've set up. Okay. So we're going to start off with my filter by view. What I've done in my catalog list right here is I've actually set up a view where it will only show items that are assigned to the current logged in user. So in this case, I'm actually logged in as QuizCom support right now. If I go to my list and I select the view assigned to me, it's only going to show books that have been assigned to me to edit. Now, if I go over to Chrome here, I actually have this list loaded up and I'm logged in as a different user. So as QA user 2, I can actually jump over to my catalog list here. I'll let that load there for a second. Click on list, go to the view, click on assign to me, and you're going to notice that I have a different set of books assigned to my QA user 2. Okay, so we're going to quickly jump over to IE here, and I'm going to go back to my corrections list. Now, what I've done here is I've set up a cascading lookup field that uses that view, the assign to me view. So if anybody were to go to the dropdown, they're only going to see their own items. So in IE, while I'm logged in as QuizCom support, you can see here that I'm only going to see a limited set of books that have been assigned to me to edit. And if I jump back over to Chrome, go to the same list, you can see here it's a completely different set of books, also using the same view, so it's only the books that have been assigned to me to edit. Okay, so how would we set this up? It's actually really simple. I'm going to go back to IE, and I have a third list here called Book ISBN Listing. And what we're going to do today is we're actually going to set up all of the same examples that I have in my corrections list. We're going to set all of those up one by one, example by example, just to walk you guys through the basic setup of the field type. So after you've added the cascading lookup field, the cascading lookup app, I guess, to your site, it's going to show up in your ribbon right here. And this is all based off of SharePoint's out-of-the-box lookup field type. So when you create this, it's actually going to show up in your list settings as just a regular lookup, and you can actually convert this back to a regular lookup by suppressing the JavaScript code that's running in the background. I'll show you how to do that at the very end of the webinar as well. So we're going to start off by clicking on Cascading Lookup. Let that load there for a second. As always, when we're doing the webinars, that my site decides to be the slowest, so we're just going to have to bear with me here. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to either select to edit an existing column or create a new column. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new column, And let's call this column books assigned to me. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the target list where I'm going to be pulling my books from. So that's the catalog list right here. We'll go here, select catalog, and I'm going to pull from the title field right here. So that's going to be this one right here. Whoops. So we're going to keep that as title. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter out some of the choices that I have available to me using a view, a SharePoint view that has already been set up in the source list. So in this case, I'm going to select the assigned to me view. And that's it. I'm just going to go ahead and click save. So now when I go into my new item, you can see it here, is when I go to books assigned to me, I'm only going to see the books that have been assigned to me. Super simple stuff. Now I'm going to take this opportunity to add that there's a couple extra features as well that we have implemented in the cascading lookup just to make your life a little bit easier. So one of them is the ability to add new items from the child list. So let's say I had a book assigned to me, or I want to assign a book to me that wasn't currently in the catalog list. I can actually, from my new list here, click on add a new item. And I can go ahead and just start typing in a new book. So let's see, Tale of Two Cities. I'm not sure who the publisher is for this one off the top of my head, so we'll just say it's self-published by Charles Dickens. And I'm really hoping I have the right author here, or I'm going to look really silly. And I'm going to go ahead and assign this to me. So I'm actually logged in as the administrator account. Administrator. Nope, shoot. Am I? Nope. Or is it QuizCom? It's QuizCom support. That's the account I'm logged in as. I'm going to hit save. So now, after this refreshes, I'm going to see, where is it? Tale of Two Cities is now selectable for me right here. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at another example here. We'll go back to my corrections list. And I'm going to use, we also offer a built-in filter with the cascading lookup field type. So if I go here, now this here is all actually just one field, and you can have multiple filters set up built into the cascading lookup. So what if I wanted to say select a publisher first? So I'm going to select, let's go with Fantasy Flight. That's going to narrow down my choices, and then I can choose which author that is affiliated with Fantasy Flight to narrow down my choices even further. So if I go to author, I'm going to pick, I have to remember this actually, I think James Niffen is associated with them. So that narrows down my choices to just this one book right here, which I can add. And I can add multiple items as well using the cascading lookup. Now, a thing to note here is between the two filters, it's going to be an AND filter. And within one single filter, this is actually an OR filter. So if I select, and let's clear this out first. Let's get rid of James. I'm going to say I want to see books by Fantasy Flight and CGE and Eagle Griffin. That'll expand my choices here. And then I can start to narrow that down by picking a bunch of different authors. So Vlaada Chvátil and let's see, Vida Lacerda and James Niffen. And that'll give me choices choices of books that are written by these authors, by these publishers. Okay, setting that up, also super simple stuff. We're going to go back to our book ISBN listing and cancel out of here. We'll go to our list ribbon, click on Cascading LookApp. And we're going to let that load here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new field. Whoops, I just selected an existing one. So I'm going to go back here. And let's call this field books filtered by author and publisher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my catalog list. And again, I'm going to be pulling the titles of the books. So I'm going to leave that as title. This filter here, I'm going to leave blank because I want to see books assigned to everybody, regardless of the editor. And here, I'm actually going to get to select which fields in the source list I want to add filters for. So in this case, whoops, I'm going to go to Publisher, and I'm going to add the author as well. And that's it. You can have a bunch of as many filters or as few filters as you want. So I'm going to actually keep the two filters there. I'm going to leave the rest of this blank. We're going to say we can allow multiple values. And if you want to actually get rid of the ability to add new items from the child list, all you have to do is just delete the stuff right here. You can also change the caption around as well. So I can say, write a new book, and we'll hit save. Let that create, and I'm going to go to new item here. And you can see here that our caption's now changed, and our two filters are showing up right here. So I can go ahead and select Rio Grande, and I think there's just one. And I can even check maybe Vito Lacerda is associated with them. No, he's not. I know Donald Vaccarino is, so I'm going to select him, and his book shows up right there. Okay. So now let's go back to our last example. In this one, I'm going to show off a couple extra features here. I have my publishers, which filters into my authors and shows my books. Right now, these fields are going to be blank, and you're going to have to actually pick a value in the publisher field first. So I'm going to select Fantasy Flight. And let's say you have a really big list. We actually include a search box at the top here. So if I selected something else or I didn't feel like scrolling, I can start typing in Fantasy Flight. That brings up my options. I'll select that, and away we go. Okay. Now, after selecting Fantasy Flight, what's happening here is the author field is actually going to refresh, and it's now going to show the authors that are associated with Fantasy Flight. So I don't have to worry about picking an author that's not affiliated with that particular publisher. Okay. You can do this for as many levels as you want. You can do this for 5, 10, 2, or 3 levels. That's entirely up to you. Your creativity is your only limit. Okay, so I'm going to pick Nikki Valens, and that gives me my books here. If I select another author, I'm going to get a different book, and we'll do that one more time. He has no books with that publisher, I guess. So to set this up, I've actually created a weird example here. I'm going to show another feature of the cascading lookup. We're going to go out of here first. Whoops, we'll jump into our new field actually. We'll leave this new item here. We're going to create a field. And what I've done is I've actually created a directory of my authors and my publishers in a remote site. So I have another site right here, which I'm going to pull over. It's called Regional. And I have here a list of authors and publishers. And you're going to notice from the URL at the top here that this is actually a different site within the same site collection, but a different subsite, which is it's not a subsite of the site that I'm using. It's actually a parallel site that both share the same parent. Okay. Now the cascading lookup actually allows you to do a remote lookup to other sites within the same site collection. So right here I have my authors in a different site and my publishers within a different site, and these are going to be my master lists. I'm going to jump back over to my my column creation field here, and let's go ahead and create a new field. So I'm going to call the first level publishers. So in my demo site here, I don't have a list called publishers. I'm actually going to have to select a different site. So I'm going to look for the site called, where is it? Regional. Okay, we're going to select that there. Author is going to be the first one to pop up. So I'm going to select publishers. And publisher name is going to be the field that I'm going to use. So we're going to go ahead and just, we're going to remove the ability to add a new item. And I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Okay, so let's go in here. Okay, so there's our publisher field right here. Okay, so now let's go back. Let's go ahead and create our second level field. So I'm going to go ahead to the field settings. We'll let that load. And from here, let's go ahead and create a new field. So I'm going to create a second field called authors. This is also going to be a remote list, so I'm going to go ahead and scroll to the remote list location. So this one is also located in delete me/regional. We're going to pull from the author name field, which is, where is that? That's right here. So we're pulling here, and these are all assigned to a publisher, which is using a lookup field right here. So let's go back here. Now, to set up the cascading lookup, what you want to do is you want to compare. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to select which field in your current list is going to be the one that controls this field. So in this case, the field that's one level above my authors field is the publishers field. So I'm going to select publishers, and that's going to spawn this new option right here. So this is this setting here is what you want to use to compare the values to have your upper level field match up and compare against the source list field. So this field here is going to be the value in your current list, and this field here is going to be the value in the source list. So I'm going to compare the value in the publishers list to the value in the authors list against the publisher field right here. So we're going to select publishers. Okay, so this is going to match this right here. Just want to get that hammered in there because it is a little bit of an abstract concept. Might take a couple of tries to get the hang of, but once you got that, it's going to be much simpler later on. Okay, so let's go back to our field settings here. Again, I'm going to remove the ability to add new publishers. So I'm going to delete that right there. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the save button. Cool, so we can actually test this out. I'm going to go back to new item. So if I select authors, there's going to be no options. I'm going to start off by selecting a publisher, and that will populate my list of authors. Okay, so now let's go back and let's finish this example off. We're going to add our list of books. So we'll go to our list ribbon here, click on the Cascading LookApp button, let that load up. Cool. And let's call this one Books by Author. So we're going to be pulling from our catalog list, pulling from the title field. So now if we go back to our other example here, where is it? We'll let that load. So to remind you, we're going to be filtering from publisher to author, and author filters into books. So author is going to be the controlling field here. So in our settings, we're going to select authors as our controlling field, and then we're going to go back to our source list, which is the catalog list right here. So the author list, the author field, sorry, is going to be the controlling field in the source list. So we're going to go back, select author here. I'm going to allow multiple values for the selection, and we're going to allow the ability to create new books. So let's call it add a new book, and let's hit save. Okay, so now if we go into our new items, we have our example set up. So nothing is populated here at the moment. We go to publishers, select, say, Plaid Hat, pick an author. There's just one, and that'll show the number of books or the available books written by that author. Okay, so now as a bonus, let's go ahead and organize this as well. This will give me a chance to quickly go through one of the other products that we offer, and that's the QuizCom Forms suite of apps. I'm going to show you just the one module for now, and that's going to be the field grouping app, just so we can group everything up into an example. So I'm going to go to List. We'll go to QuizCom Forms right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Field Groups or Tabs option. And we're going to set up a bunch of tabs. So our first group is going to be books assigned to me, and that was, again, to remind you, based on the view filter. So we'll name this books assigned to me. I'm going to click on the plus button to add a row. I'm going to add my title field. add another row, and I'm going to select the books assigned to me cascading lookup drop-down field. Okay, we're going to add a second group, and I'm going to call this books by filter. And we'll just add the one field. So we're going to add the, let's see, books filtered by author and I can get this one, guys. Books filtered by author and publisher. And we'll add one more group, and we'll call this cascading filters. And this is going to be a 3-row group. We're going to start off with our publisher field. Next up is our authors field. And then our books by author field. And I'm going to go ahead and click the save button. Okay, we're going to go back to our list. Click on new item. And here we go. We've set up a bunch of tabs for our cascade for our form. And that's actually the end of the demo for today. So I'm going to actually open up the floor to any questions. If you do have any questions, go ahead and ask them in the chat box, or go ahead and ask them in the Q&A box, and I'll do my very best to answer the questions as they come up. So we'll keep this session open for about 5 more minutes if there's no other questions. And with that, thank you guys very much for coming and participating with our demo and taking a look at the capabilities of the cascading lookup field for Office Online.